This Pac-12 rugby match is presented by State Farm. It pays to double check. Talk to your agent today.
Sometimes we call offensive patterns in order to play defense. Does that make sense? So just be ready. All I'm saying is there are a number of reasons. I don't need to explain all of those reasons why I'm switching into one of those patterns. Just be ready and execute it to the very top degree of execution. The season just started, didn't it? The season just started against UCLA, and this team is perfect. You guys are perfect on the season. Just keep that rolling today, huh?
Well, that was John Law earlier talking to a pretty composed-looking Utah squad, but now a couple minutes till kickoff. Colin Hawley and the tap on the adrenaline valve is opened up full. What does Utah have to do to come out and compete here at Witter Rugby Field?
Well, the first 5 minutes are key. The Utes really want to come out on fire right now. Right from the first kickoff, they think if they come out and they hit Cal right in the mouth, first out, they can play with them, they get their feet in the game. And then you heard the coach talking about execution, Brian, how key that is. Now, when you have all this passion, this energy, and this pen up for the game, you really got to maintain composure. It's a controlled aggression so you can execute the game plan that's coming in from the sideline.
As we see the Utes running onto the field, and I asked their coach, Haloti Liava'a, how are you going to be able to tell whether this Utah team is ready for the challenge ahead of them? He said, I use the eye test. That means that I look into their eye. He says the eyes don't lie, and if I can look into their eye, I'll be able to tell if they're ready or not.
When you get in a huddle and you're standing arm in arm, just like these guys at the halfway line, you can look into another player's eyes, and you call it kind of steely-eyed, right? And you just know the resolve and determination from that look. And no better time to have it than on Rugby Saturday in the center of the universe on Witter Rugby Field.
He's my partner, Colin Hawley. Had plenty of games here on Witter Rugby Field. Does the adrenaline still come back to you, Colin Hawley?
Oh man, my legs twitching. I'm ready for a game. There's nothing like Rugby Saturday in Strawberry Canyon here. And there's such a legacy with the California program, and Utah's coming in after some big wins already this season. And here comes Cal. The boys run onto their home field, led out by Jake Anderson.
The All-American Jake Anderson, fullback today and captain for this California team. Last time they were here, a rainstorm had opened up, but today a different story. Blue skies overhead, sunshine, just a light wind. Great day for rugby.
Absolutely.
As we get ready to hear the Cal Straw Hat Band with the national anthem.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please stand for our national anthem.
Getting ready for the kickoff here, Witter Rugby Field in Strawberry Canyon on the campus of the University of California.
Both teams taking their respective sides. Now again, we want to reiterate, Utah really focused on the first 5 minutes of this match. They want to come out and play passionate, exciting rugby right off the get-go. Looking up here, number 1, Spencer Vickery. He's a guy to watch in the front. He's 6'2", 260, fifth-year senior. He played in New South Wales and Australia for a year, and they're a proper rugby program out there. So he brings a lot of experience and a lot of power. Look for him to get a lot of Cal tacklers, commit a lot of tacklers, and have a big impact on this game.
And on the Golden Bears side, we look at the starting 15 there, and number 13, Harry Adolphus. What's the key for him today to have an impact for this Cal squad?
Harry taking the number 13 jersey. Like we said before, Cal wants to paint the corners, have Utah play out from their own end. Harry's got a massive boot on him. So look for him to slot in at 10 a few times and find the corners.
And a quick look at the rules of rugby. 2 40-minute halves, 15 players on a side, and crossover, score a try, 5 points, 2-point conversion to come. And on the field with the whistle is Phil Aykroyd. And we are underway here at the University of California.
Little long kick there from Webb. Utah able to take it cleanly right behind the 22, but looking to play out. Like we said before, high risk, high reward from Utah. You'd expect him to kick the touch here.
This is expansive play from Utah as they work the ball all the way to the wing, and that's Thomas.
Utah playing adventure. Oh, what a hit coming in.
Well, wow. Their coach, Haloti Liava'a, talked about high risk, high reward, and this is high risk stuff. Trying to play rugby, and that's the risk.
I think that hit came in from Sione Sina.
Yeah.
And
Utah
now
in trouble.
Now Cal, ball getting dug out of the back there. A quick run on the fringes by California. Bears are rolling. First look at Carl Hendrickson for California, taking a little bit of a run. Quickly out to Russell Webb. Webb finding Anthony Salibert. And quickly, once again, another Salibert. That's Nick Salibert wearing the number 7 jersey. As Nick Boyer looks to dig the ball out the back. Back's aligned. Oh, and a first knock on by California. That is the big number 5 former football player for Cal, Sione Sina, and he makes the first mistake of the game as we take a look at this first hit. Boom.
Wow, what a line coming up from Sione Sina. Again, football background, throwing the shoulder. Boom. How you doing? Coming and bringing the heat early on. Loving that from Cal. Utah having the turnover within their own end. High risk, high reward play from them. I don't know. Do you want to play within your own 22 like that, Brian? I would say kick the touch. You're behind the 22.
Yeah, you know, I like having the guts to do it, but I'm not sure it's the smartest call. And there's a free kick. Looks like maybe an early push by Utah, and so the ball will go to the corner. Or will we see a tap and go from Russell Webb out to the big man, Sione Sina. Takes a little bit of a rumble. He's got support in the form of Connor Sweet. Russell Webb finding Jake Anderson. Numbers on the corners. Miles Honens with the support. Look how quickly they're recycling the ball. And there we see number 3, George Frame.
Cal's got something out wide if they choose to move it.
Webb,
3 on 2.
Salibert, Adolphus to Andrew Battaglia. He's got the space in the first try.
Brilliant stuff from Cal. On the job, playing the phases. Now what happened, you had a lot of strong forward runners, and then you had the overlap on the outside. Number 13, Harry Adolphus, getting the ball through his hands and pinning and passing on the outside. Utah slow to reconcile on the outside. You got to keep moving your numbers and match up, but Cal, noticing the overlap, they had a spot ball out the back to Webb, the right call, the right play, the right hands. First points, first blood, 5-0 Cal, kick to come from Jake.
Well, you wondered from the initial kickoff, Colin, the high-risk ball that Utah was playing inside their own 22. Looks like the first set piece, the scrum, goes against Utah. Cal kind of putting their stamp down physically against these Utes in the first opening minutes as we see the conversion to come from Jake Anderson.
We talked earlier about the high risk, high reward and execution, the marry between the two.
Just off the upright, so it'll remain 5 points to Cal.
But coming back to it, Utah needs to recognize when they can go for it and when they need to cut their losses, kick to touch, and play out of their own end. That comparison between the two and figuring out when to do that is something they need to find in this game early on. Down 5-0. See if they can respond.
Knock.
2 knock-ons there, and Cal with the first one.
Nice over there.
And so it'll be a scrum to Utah. Talking to head coach Jack Clark from California yesterday, and he said, you know, it makes him a little nervous with Utah having the ball inside his half. They like to go phase after phase after phase and jam the ball up. They're happy to take 1 or 2 feet at a time as long as they can keep that ball. Danny Christensen, the scrum half for Utah with the feed. Good pass out to Scott Strong, the fly half. And the first run we've seen from number 12, that's Zane Ravizi. High risk pass here. A good little step, but he gets pushed into touch, and it'll be a line out to Cal. So Utah having a hard time going forward right now.
Thank you.
Looks like Cal's got the better of him in the first 5 minutes. It's the battle of the 5 minutes. Coming out the gate, you really test out the other opponent. See what you're bringing right now. I think Utah a little deer in the headlights look right now, trying to figure out what's going to get them going. Maybe a few hits and they'll find their feet.
Michael Bush way up top. Not a great throw, but Cal manages to get it back from the nice reach of Carl Hendrickson.
There you see Harry Adolphus lining up behind the ruck right now. We know he's got a big boot on him.
He's got to keep this one in. Ball passed in behind the 22, so it's got to stay in.
Oh, it's a rocket.
And that ball's going to travel. It's got a little wind behind it. And it'll just drift in goal. It'll be touched down
22
by the fullback, Tanata Lauti. We talked a lot about him in the opening segments. Not any room to run so far in these opening minutes, and it'll be a 22-meter dropout for Utah. Deep kick finds Miles Honens. Straight back into the teeth of this Utah defense.
Great hit from Phil Hinson on the wing there.
Good clean out there. Nick Saliber having another rumble. And already across the gain line goes Cal. Utah has to make some first up tackles and get these guys behind the gain line.
2-on-1.
Andrew Battaglia with a little dart down the touchline. Tackled nicely into touch by Utah, and so Utah will get the line out, but not before they get pushed all the way back to their own 22.
Battaglia, the try scorer earlier on, getting well tackled into touch right there. As a wing, the touch line is the cliff. You can't get out of the cliff. You're falling off the edge. He's going to want that one back, but Utah, get out of jail free card here. Great line out.
They needed it that time, and they get the line out, but offsides against Cal is the call by the referee, Phil Aykroyd. Danny Christensen looks to tap and go, and they'll spin it. Not afraid to play rugby against Cal today. There's the big fly half. Number 10, Scott Strong. Danny Christensen. Out to the number 8. That's Jacob Morrison. 6'4", 230 pounds. That's a load. Speaking of load, that fly half usually.
Little confusion in the back there from Utah. 10 looking to find his runners.
And there's Lauti. He finds the wing. Tests Battaglia on the corner. Battaglia looks to go quickly. Utah interferes with that one. It could be a penalty.
Touch, no quick throw.
Little tit for tat there, actually. Both wings finding touch on their runs, getting tackled by their opposite number. But Utah, again, having a penalty, the offsides on the line out and deciding to quick tap and go. That's how they're running and gunning today. They're wanting to play the ball on the ground.
Yeah, maybe a couple things too, right? They've got a little bit of an attitude. They think they can run against these guys, and they have to be confident. But they also have a little bit of wind working in their face, and I wonder if that has factored into their decisions.
Back foot.
Big steep line set out to the left by Cal. They've run a pretty aggressive strike moves on the wing so far. Looks like they're trying to move this thing wide.
Yeah, but it didn't come quick enough.
That was something that Coach Clark talked about yesterday, just the number of times that Cal has been turning the ball over and really kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Talked about that UBC game.
Some uncharacteristic turnovers, some offloads out of the tackle that are, 50-50s instead of 80-20 balls that, uncharacteristic of Cal players do. They really pride themselves on how they take care of the pill, but probably circling the wagons around that issue.
Well, Utah deep in their own territory.
Oh, turnover.
It's a great job by Nick Saliver. He's having a great game in for the injured Alec Gletzer, normally the open side flanker for this Cal team.
Webb marshalling the backs. He's looking for something on here. Out the back door.
Adolphus, great footwork.
Oh.
The flip pass, Miles Honens with room and a man and a try.
Knock on advantage.
No, it's a knock on.
Lauti with the ball.
Knock on, no advantage coming.
We thought it was
Like
a for sure try. Over the
11
line was
gold knock.
Miles Honan. We'll take a look at it right here. He had a great fend off. Just one man to beat. Tackle from behind, shoelace tackle right before the line. There you see it. He didn't dot it down. You got to be over the line. That's a knock on. Great scramble defense from Utah, keeping Cal off the scoreboard. Unlucky there for Cal, but what a great defensive effort from Utah.
My view obscured up here a little bit. I thought he was over for sure. It's a break for Utah. But boy, that Cal pack is going to work, pushing Utah deep.
Ball is out. Paul Black forward.
Ball's going to stay in.
Well, it manages to find touch, and isn't
Black,
that a nifty
when I
little
say
kick?
wait,
And I think a
forwards, that
fortunate
means
bounce
you.
there for Utah.
Yeah, when you're kicking out of your own end there behind the 22, you're on your own red zone. You really want to find touch. Utah was lucky Jake didn't get that ball in his hands and find that counterattack because it was a low kick. He had a lot of time and space to kind of move that thing wide. I don't want to get more accurate on those if you're Utah.
Okay, so I told you what the last line.
So the hooker, Michael Bush,
immediately, no delay.
the senior from Davis, California, steps to the line for another line out.
Yeah, they're lining up outside of the line.
Looks like a short
Getting
line out. Some forwards in the back line here. George Vrame, Carl Hendrickson out with the backs. Solid throw by Bush. Boyer with the delivery. There's a run by the inside center. That's Anthony Salibert.
Having a go.
Well, 6'5" inside center, and you got to like the frame on Salibert.
Yeah, there was no rook.
When you're that tall, but you can get as
And then
low
he got
as
his hands
Salibert
on,
can get,
and then he knocked it
hard man
forward.
to bring down. He brought 3 tacklers, 3 Utah midfield defenders with him. If they were able to recycle that ball, they had numbers on the outside. That's really what you want from your 12, to commit defenders to the tackle so you have openings on the outside.
We got double Salibers on the field today. Their father, Rob, in the stands, part of the 85 reunion team that's here for this rugby homecoming. We'll talk more about them later as we see the feed from Nick Boyer.
Scrum middle, stolen by Utah.
Numbers on the corner, and Lauti's got to get rid of that ball. Nobody home, though, and Harry Adolphus smartly steps in the way of a pass off the left boot. And the ball bounces back for the hooker, Chad Goff. And Goff knocks it forward, a huge mistake. And so the footwork, the presence of mind by Harry Adolphus, he steps in front of the pass. That ball should not have been passed by Tanata Lauti to begin with. You got it. Sometimes the pass isn't on, Colin. How hard is it to just eat that ball and go to another phase?
It's so hard to just want to try to play the phase. Lauti made a big break, and you really want something to happen. You're one of the leaders on the team. You make a break. Playing a phase and not forcing the offload, that's a quick split-second decision. That we're talking about, the passion and then the execution needs to be together.
Cal does a good job defending those passing lanes, and Harry Adolphus comes up with the ball. Looks like offsides. Offsides against Danny Christensen, the scrum half. He's playing the scrum half before he has the ball out of the scrum, and that'll be a penalty. And you wonder, are we going to see the boot of Jake Anderson from here, or might? Yeah, Harry Adolphus steps up.
It looks like they're going to go for the corner.
Right there.
Well, you got to like their line out yesterday, watching these guys practice, and one of their strengths for sure. And that ball has gone.
Touch and goal.
That ball has gone all the way into touch in goal, and so a big
22.
mistake.
Touch and goal.
That's not what you want from here.
You know,
a lot depends on his foot.
Right, and sometimes, Colin, you're trying to be clinical and you're trying to get every inch, and it ends up costing you. Instead of getting 15 meters, you go for 16 meters.
Big high ball out there to the wing. He's got counterattack ability here. Step back inside.
Great step by Honens. Now, Honen's an interesting story. Could have been a world-class
back 10.
downhill skier. Ended up playing rugby here at Cal instead.
Advantage high.
High tackle,
Penalty
advantage being played.
advantage.
Webb to Adolphus, puts it off his left boot. And the referee, Phil Aykroyd, is going to come back for this penalty. An advantage, a high tackle against Utah. And so
High tackle, choke. Captain, high tackle, choke tackle. Tackles down.
and
Yeah.
we hear Phil Aykroyd, and one of the beauties
I
of
can give you a shot at goal.
this game is the referee talking to the players, really helping them to understand how he's calling the game. You'll hear Phil Aykroyd on the mic today.
Any rugby player out there knows you have your favorites and you have your not so favorites from the referees. A lot is dependent on their interpretation of the game. Great to have them mic'd up here so you can see what's going on in the guts of the game. Aykroyd, a wonderful referee here. Been the benefit of his skills on many occasions, but happy to have him in this game.
I thought you were going to go into how he's not one of your favorites, but apparently not the case.
Looks good.
And that is easy money for Jake Anderson.
Got to keep an eye on you across the wing.
Well, one of the reasons why we're here this weekend and the crowd in front of us is here to celebrate the reunion, the homecoming. We go back to 1985, the first team that won a national championship for head coach Jack Clark on the fields of Monterey. And captaining the team that day, a young man by the name of Mark Lamborn. And he's joined us here today to talk about those days. And hello, Mark Lamborn. Thanks for joining us. Mark, it's been a long time since you've graced the fields here at California. Tell us a little bit about what's changed here at California.
Well, the first off is the field. 30 years ago, we used to play in the opposite direction. It was certainly not the layout that there is today, and it's just terrific to come back and see where this program is and see the quality on the field and see all the fans here. It's just wonderful for folks like us to come back and
Number 13,
see what
round the neck.
part of us think we started.
Hey, Mark, this is Colin. What hasn't changed about this program? I graduated in 2010, and I just feel like the legacy is still alive and well here at Cal.
Yeah, we went down. Coach Clark invited us down to meet with the team, and as you well know, what hasn't changed here is the drive, the determination, and the dedication to win a national championship every year. And I think the other thing that hasn't changed, and it's progressed ever since we were here, is just the drive to get better and to put a quality product on the field every single year, and that has not changed.
Constant performance improvement.
Hey, Mark,
Cal staple.
a lot of the guys from that 85 team and rugby in general is a sport where people are giving back. Will you talk a little bit about what it's meant to you to give back to the sport and where you are now and in your coaching career?
Yeah, for me personally, I mean, I was inspired by Coach Clark. I ended up, when I left here, I ended up coaching over the Olympic Club. 8 years ago, I moved out to Virginia and took over a brand new program at James Madison University. And unashamedly, I'm trying to turn it into a young Cal program. So, we got Rob Salabal, who's coaching. Ramon Samaniego out there coaching. Gary Hine. There's a lot of guys on this team. John Rittering, who are out there giving back to the community and giving on the experience that they had here at Cal, which I think is very important.
Well, Mark, we certainly appreciate your time with us. Have a great time with your classmates this weekend.
That will never be a problem. Thanks for your time, gentlemen. Take care.
Thanks again, Mark Lamborn, the captain of the 1985 National Championship California Golden Bears team, and they were able to take care of the University of Maryland to win that championship, and that's the 21st of 22 15s national championships for Coach Jack Clark, the 26th in the program history. It's a vaunted program, and there's reasons why. It's an amazing campus to walk around, and the facilities that are offered to these players.
Set.
We have a scrum down Utah. If you notice, Russell Webb, the 10, is now slotting in at 9. Nick Boyer, bigger body, I think, setting out there in the back line to defend a hard charging number 10 for Utah.
Just became a mess.
Scott Strong,
Black going forward.
230 pounds behind him, so you know, you want somebody out there who's going to stop him in his tracks.
Yeah, I'm sure Russell Webb is grateful to give Nick Boyer the job of tackling Scott Strong today. And we see the referee, Phil Aykroyd, has awarded another scrum, and just because of, by virtue of the mess that last scrum became, sometimes the ball's not playable.
Crouch.
And here's Danny Christensen with the feed for Utah.
Set.
That might be one of those things between Nick and Russell. Hey, you mind switching out for me? This guy's running down my throat. He's about 230 pounds. Just those adjustments you make on the rugby pitch.
Oh, great smart play there by Danny Christensen. Little rumble there by the number 13, and that is to Uta Polotu. Tonata gets going again. He's got some go forward. The question is, does he have any support?
He's finding some purchase on his runs, just playing a phase there. Unlikely to have an offload like he did last time, but stolen by Cal.
Great job to come in there, rip that ball away. Cal really, you know, we talked to Jack Clark yesterday. He mentioned how physical this Utah team was, but Cal really is the one who's been coming out and putting their stamp down physically and really getting a lot of that territory beyond the ball. This time penalized. Lauti goes quickly.
Utah again, run and gun offense, looking to paint the corners here.
Well, and if you're going to do that, you got to exploit the space when you have it, and instead they elect to just rumble forward. Chad Goff goes forward for Utah. Christensen finds Lauti. The switch back to the
knock on advantage.
Spilled out. Great hit by Boyer, the bigger 9, coming in, laying some hat. Love that from Nick.
Turnover caused in the hit. A great one by Cal.
Advantage over.
You hear the referee, advantage over, but there's a nice little move inside. That's Saliber. Saliber, 6'5" of him, finds Andrew Battaglia. Battaglia is over for his second try.
The big man, the wiggle run down the field. All 6'5" of them, in, out, turning around the All-American in Tonata Lauti. You see here, great little break in the middle, finding the gap. Now look, inside, outside, inside, turning around. Nice tackle and the presence of mind to find the offload. The support was there. Another try for the winger Battaglia.
Well, at the top of your screen, you see Battaglia, and look how he adjusts his line as well and comes off the corner. You got to love the intelligence there of Battaglia to find that running room. And his father, Mike, I talked to him before the game. He's traveled all the way down from Canada. And look, if you're going to travel from Canada, your son needs to score a couple of tries to make it worthwhile. And so far, the only tries of the day, Andrew Battaglia.
Yeah, it's great stuff. From a wing standpoint, playing a bit of wing, you have to find your moments and get off your wing. You can't just sit on the sideline and hopefully the ball gets spun out to you. He got off his line, went to the hip for the support, and found the offload. It's that offload, that next pass after the break that usually is the one scoring the try, because you always have the fullback to beat. Yeah, especially with Lauti back there.
In basketball, people talk a lot about what you do off of the ball, and that's what this game is all about in rugby. What are you doing off of the ball?
Bobbled there by number 8, Connor Sweet. He's having a tough day at the office getting lifted there. That's his second knock on off the kickoff. Maybe something there that Utah could exploit.
The number 22 coming in to play lock, already a substitution. That's Alex Alba. And looks like the number 7, John Kaczynski.
Crouch.
For Utah off the field.
Set.
And then again, we see Russell Webb slotting it at 9.
Another free kick, and that's a scrum feed. It doesn't go straight down the tunnel.
Back 10. You're in front of the mark, which is here.
Some of the players chiming into Aykroyd, saying he didn't even attempt. When there's a penalty, you must retreat 10 meters. You can't tackle him.
His back was turned to me, but I think I could hear Phil Aykroyd roll his eyes at the Cal players talking to him. He doesn't want to hear any chatter, just wants the boys to play the game. And there goes Lauti.
Oh,
No
good
fire.
break.
Nowhere near.
Oh, great feet by Lauti. He's got support. He's got to use it.
Oh, great cover tackle, but a great offload off the ground.
And look at Lauti, first one there to support that ruck as well. A score would be huge for Utah right here.
Utah's numbers on the left. They choose to move it, and they do.
They got numbers. Oh, the ball needs to get out of the hands of Scott Strong. He keeps it instead, and we've seen that today a lot.
Yeah, there's purchase on the outside, but a great bite-in tackle from Battaglia, stopping that ball in its tracks and getting outside of the other two players.
Run by
Penalty
Pelotu
advantage, tackle
off
entry.
the fringe. It'll be a penalty
5
advantage
goals.
to Utah.
Utah electing to keep it tight here. Cal's got a great line set up to the open side,
Penalty
so they want to
advantage.
keep it in the engine room right now and bang it forward, go toe-to-toe with this big Cal forward pack and an even bigger Utah pack.
Well, I think this was what Coach Clark was
Tackle.
concerned about yesterday. That is the role of these big forwards, and across the line,
Release.
almost Utah knocking on the door.
White line fever. They want it here, Brian.
And there's the distance. You see a couple of feet away.
Here, Russell Webb
New
screaming at his players,
advantage.
getting them organized. Just a scramble, goal line, red zone
think
defense. Oh,
Release.
nearly
Run
threatening the
your
line.
Pelotu with a dart towards the line, but can't do it. And a try scored. And that looks like Danny Christensen has found the line for Utah.
Captain.
Wow, really impressed with Utah here. I mean, it all started right from that break from Lauti,
Right,
breaking
come.
Cal's defense and getting through to the line.
Jake.
Coming back to the replay. Here's Lauti
Mike.
with the pass on the outside. Great cover tackle from Miles.
penalty
Bonas.
advantages coming from, I think,
probably
number
stopped to try
6.
there, but Utah running through the
feet.
phases. Now they
Tackle
kept it tight. Running through the phases, picking up left side, weak side. You know, when you're on the goal line, you heard Russell Webb screaming at his players, you have to resource around the ball. You need that pillar next
You're
to
in
the
the right
ruck.
place.
You needed that next defender and even another one to stop from these little dabs on the outside. That was great vision from Danny Christensen. He saw it, picked it up, used his speed to get around the corner and dot it down.
One that's a reason why Danny Christensen has received All-American honors. First trip for the Utes inside the 22 of Cal, and they hit pay dirt. You've seen some of the mistakes, Colin, that they've made in their own half. What is what they just did prove about maybe how they should adjust their play?
Well, it looks like if they get into Cal's end, first trip into the 22, they're successful, right? So it started, I think, from the knock-on from the kickoff. You know, they got purchase on that ball. They had a set piece, and then they started the run. Lauti had a nice break. So I would say get your kicks in and try to pin them back down into their own end. Stop playing from your 22 and getting turnovers when you shouldn't be running with the ball in hand. Clear your lines, kick it down there, and use your defensive systems to stop Cal. And then when you have your moments, first time in the 22, you score. You got to try.
And Jesse Milne into the contest.
Great kick by Russell Webb, high kick behind the 22. Now here it is again, and now electing to kick. Nice high kick from the 9 Christensen. The chase is there, but Anderson able to get the ball in the hands of the 2-time try scorer, fancying his counterattack ability, going back to the left side.
Tanata Lauti making the tackle on Andrew Battaglia. Comes up from the fullback spot. Really marshaling this Utah back line. Tanata Lauti really doing a lot of work. Webb finds Honens.
Nice tackle on the outside.
Yeah, Honens has been testing his opposite wing, Phil Hinson.
Cal doing a good job running through. His little ball squirts out the back. Boyer in trouble here, needing support, but getting driven forward by his Cal forward pack. Well done.
Oh, you know, a scrum half, though, 6'3", 210, and you see Boyer just puts his head down, starts working like a flanker. Talked to his father earlier, says he's gained 40 pounds in muscle since he got here. Used to wrestle a 103-pound weight class as a freshman in high school. He's 210 now. His mother must be stocking that cupboard. You imagine the food bill in the Boyer house?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, look at Webb. Fancy feet, can't bring it down, stepping back inside, but Boyer, I'm really liking what he brings in the game. He brings added physicality and strength and power, but his pass has improved so much at that 9 position. Really, really excited to have him starting today.
Now Cal turning the tables. They're knocking on the Utah line here. Utah's defense formed well, but stretching across the line, and the try is awarded by Phil Aykroyd. And that is the number 3, George Vrame, the 6'2" junior from Sacramento, and played his rugby at Jesuit High School.
Yes, he did. Alma mater. Great stuff. But here we go.
I hear they got a few rugby players at that school.
Cal running through the phases, keeping it tight in the engine room, going toe-to-toe again, just like Utah did, scoring the try. Utah not getting underneath Cal, diving over the line there. Great, well-worked team try. Well done, but it all came from the kick off 9 from Danny Christensen, trying to clear their lines, but a high one, up and under, not finding touch. Anderson able to pick that ball up and counterattack back the line and hit the 22 on that next phase. You know, it's hard to get out of your own end. So that's something that Utah needs to really come forward with and figure out how they're going to do that.
Seems like what we've seen so far, Colin, really a story of mistakes. The team that can't clear the ball out of their own end is really getting punished for it today, and that's got to be driving the head coaches crazy on both sides.
Well, like we said, nice kick by Jake.
Right from the corner, Jake Anderson.
Slotted. That's just champagne.
You know, we've seen him when he's on with that foot. He is lights out.
They call him the Iceman here, Brian. He just ice run through his veins. I'm in the corner, no biggie, pop it over the line. Strutting it back. Well done. But yes, the kickoffs are key here. And again, see if Utah can exploit Sweet having a hard time under this ball. But doing a good job here, getting up, laddering up, 2 hands on that thing. Love to see that.
Advantage,
go a long way
knock
for
on.
his confidence. Knocked on by Utah, so it'll
by
scrum.
Black. Gold scrum.
So here's conversely the same type of scenario. You know, Cal just outside their 22, can't go directly to touch. Harry Adolphus slotting in at 10. You know he's got a big boot. I mean, if I was the deep 3 here, they're playing at the halfway line. I think he got the ball kicked over the heads a few times.
Bind.
He's going to look to put this on his foot, possibly. Clear their lines, get out of their own end.
Boyer with the feed. Adolphus goes to 10 from 13. Jesse Milne with a nice little dart. He's taken over for Saliber at center.
Carried back.
And the big hoof stays in. Look at Battaglia on the chase. Danger time for Lauti. Look at him use his feet, though.
One-handed offload out the side. Knock back, says Aykroyd. Play on, Utah.
A loose pass there by Lauti, and Utah is lucky to get the ball back. Now it's the forwards attempt. You know, we've seen from this Utah team, the prediction was that they were going to run off the sides of these breakdowns and just really jam their forwards into the fringes, but they've been spinning the ball around, but that cost them that time as the Honey Badger there, Gabe Rufflin, puts it on the deck.
Yeah, picked like a booger there. Absolutely. Cal gets the ball inside Utah 22.
And again, Utah mistake. Cal gets a chance inside their 22. Can they make them pay? Adolphus. Obstruction called, and Adolphus looked like he was about to scamper his way across the line again, but it'll be Utah with a penalty and the kick for touch coming.
Make sure of it. Straight into touch. Play a line out. Now that's more of what I like to see from Utah right now, that execution bit of finding touch when you need to and setting your line out.
We haven't seen Utah in the line out today. Chad Goff with his first throw. And watch Cal defend. Look how high they're going to put Kondrat, James Kondrat, number 4, into the air. Couple pods working. Nice job going up and getting that ball by Utah to the inside center.
Utah happy to just give it to number 12 and Zane and have him just bash it up.
What, not feet.
Not a lot of deception there from the primary phase strike move. It seems like just 10 dishes to 12. He's got about a 10-yard run up. Gets 2 Cal defenders popping him.
Well, Scott Walsh guilty of being off his feet at the breakdown, and so Utah gets a break again. A big kick to touch. Miles Honens tries to keep it in, but Utah's going to get a lot of territory here. And now the danger zone. They smell the 22-meter line, and their confidence maybe up a little bit from their last experience down here.
This is much better from Utah. The execution part. Now this is the territory game. You get some penalties, you kick to touch, you nail the line out, and you get within the 22 again and you score. I like this. It seems like Utah's finding the feet. Except they lost in the line out here. Boyer with the ball.
Yeah, you got to make that throw, though. It's money inside the Cal half. You got to make it count, and that throw goes to Cal, and now the Bears begin to rumble.
Adolphus back at the end. He's screaming for the ball. He looks like he wants to run. Boyer, quick tap, finding a half gap. Where's the support?
Well, he goes smartly there. And look at the big man.
Easy, easy,
Webb
easy, go on.
Trying to find Jake Anderson instead. The dart inside.
Big line for Cal step on left. They choose to use it. They have numbers on the outside.
And the big boys go to work. A couple of forwards loitering out in the back line. And Vrame is one of them.
Here we go.
Saliber back in from his blood substitution. Kondrat goes across the line. And this time, Cal is able to score a try. James Kondrat.
Here we go. We're going to see the replay. Look at the hit. That was Nick Boyer having the presence of mind, the quick tap, and making it all the way down to the 22. Great stuff from the scrum half. And now Cal just running through the phases. There we go. Here's Nick coming through and up. Up and over, and that's some rugby. Maybe a shoulder charge there, but he did well to get the ball back and have the presence of mind to keep that thing going. But here we go. Big man, the lock, diving over for the try. The numbers on the outside. You know, Utah was scrambling. They just didn't get enough to get all their numbers outside of the ruck. Tend to honeypot a little bit, and he is jacked. Loving that from Kondrat from Brooklyn, New York. Well done.
Well, the junior there, and one of the products of what's become really a high school rugby institution on the East Coast, Xavier High School. We saw the four-time captain, Seamus Kelly, who came from Xavier. There's a couple other Xavier guys. Number 8 on the field right now, Connor Sweet.
Yeah, the head coach over there at Xavier, Mike Tolkien, now the head coach of the USA national team. I had a talk with Kondrat a few weeks ago, and he just told me how important Mike Tolkien is to that program and how he's helped him along and actually got him to pursue Cal. And I think it's paying dividends for him.
Well, who wouldn't want to come out to the Bay Area and go to school on this campus? It's become kind of a pipeline now for the University of California. And there's a few notorious schools, yours being one of them, Jesuit High School out here in Sacramento, Xavier, we mentioned just a minute ago. And then in Utah, you have the Highland program. And a lot of players on this Utah squad have played at Highland. The notorious coach, Larry Gelwicks, one of his assistants there, Haloti Liava'a, who now is the head man for this Utah squad.
Great kick from Nick Boyer. He's just doing it all right now. Unable to field it was the back three for Utah. Getting the turnover. Harry Adolphus coming in, laying hat. Cal coming over at the turnover, ball inside, Utah 50.
Well, I like the way that Utah's kind of getting out of the blocks now. Sometimes you can play offense with your defense, and if you can manage to push back the attack.
Oh, weak side option out to the wing.
Battaglia tests the foot.
Black.
Oh, a time pass.
Oh,
Off black.
nearly.
But the ball touches the paint.
Bold move, Battaglia, but backing himself on the corner. I love it.
Yeah, kicked back.
You know, sometimes, you know, Coach Clark, when you put on your foot, you better get it back. You know, you just got to back yourself in that scenario. Here he is, skip pass out to the side. Nobody behind, so he decides to go on the foot. Bounced off the Utah defender, but wow, I mean, goes the hand, who knows? He's playing with a bit of confidence, Brian.
He did, you know, putting on a show once again for his dad in the stands. Maybe the last time he comes down to Cal to watch Andrew play. He'll be eligible for graduation this year. The question is, will he take graduation, or do you stick around Berkeley for another year?
I'm a fifth-year senior guy. I think the victory lap needs to happen. Oh, great break.
Saliber tries to. Adolphus wanted the ball. He still gets it back. Utah defense collapses around him. Opportunity there. Webb goes to Honens on the corner. Hit hard by Chad Goff. trying to find the line.
Wow, a lot of power there from Honus.
Oh, there's Hendrickson stretches for the line, backs himself and just stretches out. He's measured it. He knows exactly how tall he is, Colin.
Oh, he's feeling it. Right there. That's awesome from Hendrickson, Carl. The big man with the big mullet. Look at him here, getting some work done, pushing it over. Can't bring me down. I'm sorry, slamming it down with authority. Great stuff from Carl. Great haircut, too. I mean, gotta love that thing party in the back.
And Cal, we've seen the way that Cal plays, and they can just start to eat you up slowly and just ticking away points on the board. And if you're Utah, Colin, what do you do right now? How do you right the ship? It's 20 seconds to halftime. We'll probably see one more kickoff, but if you're the coach, Haloti Liava'a, for this team, what are you telling them as you approach halftime?
So far, Utah's been doing a great job, but it's a penalty in their own end. It's not being able to field that box kicks from Boyer. The presence of mind of Boyer for quick tapping and them not getting back 10. It's just that accuracy that Utah's lacking right now. I think the passion got to him a little bit in the beginning of the game, trying to play adventurous without their end. They need to slow it down, bring that controlled aggression with the execution in the second half, and get back in this match. Whoa!
Well, the ball, it just glances off the uprights and then still finds its way across. Everything going the way of the California Golden Bears right now, and that is the halftime whistle, mercifully, for the Utah Utes. They need to regroup, and in a bad way.
Yeah, I think the coach is going to bring him up, circle the wagons, tell the Utah players, hey, we're still in this match. We got a half of rugby. Anything can happen. We've had very few opportunities within the 22, but on one occasion we get down there, have a break, we get on the horse, and we score a try. We just need to replicate what we did there and keep on pushing.
Well, they'll have a chance. And you can see in the body language just the way the players are. As you see Utah passing the water around.
Yeah, you got to think about travel as well. These guys taking a bus up here, maybe having a little bit of jelly leg action going on here. But Cal looking pretty dominant. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Saliber at that center. He's had a few great breaks, little in and out moves, breaking the defense. And when that happens, the entire team has to retreat behind the offside line. And when the fractured defense is backing up, Cal's launching another attack, allowing that last try. But big Carl Hendrickson, 6'3", 230, just to get over the line. The defense is fractured. It's wonderful.
All right, so we're going to take a break here in Berkeley. When we come back, we'll have some highlights from the first half. This Pac-12 rugby match is presented by State Farm. It pays to double check. Talk to your agent today. And getting ready for the second half kickoff with the whistle, Phil Aykroyd. A dominant performance so far by California, the Golden Bears, and Utah gets things underway.
Nice little dab of a kick and tries for a Condrat. Throwing a one-handed offload out the back to Webb.
Outside.
But finding a great kick.
All right, put the coach's hat on. Colin Hawley, tell me, what do you say to your team?
Oh, black 5!
If you're Haloti Liava'a.
Come out, play our rugby. We're here in Witter Rugby Field. We've played hard matches before. We've been down. Keep on the pattern and just start to execute.
No, Rook, that's fine. That steal is legal.
And a big deficit, but so far it looks like some enterprising stuff from the Utes. And, you know, the truism in rugby, if you're down by a bunch, you got to start with something positive, just one good thing. But Cal definitely on the job today. We took a look at Haloti Liava'a, second year as the head coach of this program.
Two early penalties from Utah, backing them up within their own end. It looked like they had some go forward going on, but you know, Cal coming away with that turnover and then now a penalty at halfway. You know they're going to go for the corner with a boot from Adolphus. They're going to get pinned down. You really have to monitor these penalties that you're having, especially coming right out of the gate in the second half. You need some momentum. You need somebody to have some good moments and play a phase.
So Harry Adolphus at about the halfway line with the penalty.
Been really impressed with Harry's play so far. Had a good run there just a second ago, bouncing off Danny Christensen, but you know, he's got great skills, really massive boot on, finding touch there. But he's one of the guys in this back line that your go-to guys.
Yeah, really kind of like a Swiss Army knife for this back line. We've seen him on the wing, we've seen him at fullback, and now in the centers, and the go-to guy when you need a kick off a left boot. Harry Adolphus can do it all, can pass off both hands. And deceptively strong for what looks like kind of a slender build.
I've heard those words before.
No advantage coming. Knocking the line.
But Harry doing a great job today. Little miscue there from Cal on the line out. Utah getting the ball, but bringing it back for a little knock.
And Russell Webb, again, on defense. We see Boyer shipping out to the 10 spot. Danny Christensen for the feed. And Utah now with a little bit of that breeze at their back, and you wonder if they'll start to maybe try to test Jake Anderson deep a little bit. Andrew Battaglia's stepped up. They've got this entire left side of the field potentially, but boy, Cal is working them in the scrum.
Utah scrum was on ice skates going backwards. Cal just dominated. Turnover ball, Cal at the 22. Utah's in trouble.
Anderson, oh, he finds Battaglia.
Another great run from Battaglia on the sideline, getting purchased at the 5 meter.
Penalty
Cal
advantage.
Needing to get resources there.
Off feet.
Penalty again, quick tap, Boyer. He's not gonna get stopped, and he goes over the line for the try.
Well, we saw Boyer do that in the first half, right before the end. The recognition, the quick tap, the space in front of him. You're not going to stop 6'3", 210 pounds. It doesn't matter what number you got on your back. With that kind of frame, and he goes over for the try. You know, we talked about what Haloti Liava'a had said to his troops in the halftime break. If you're Jack Clark, you've been in these huddles before, 34-5 at halftime. What's the message from Coach Clark?
Keep the pressure. Cal is just running at him. Utah just, it seems like they're on their heels. Cal not afraid to go ahead and quick tap, kick, run. You know, they're just attacking whenever they can, executing when they need to. But, you know, Boyer playing like an absolute stud right now. He's 2 quick taps that led to tries, one of his own and one that got out to the backs. But he's doing it right now for me. It's great stuff from him. You really need that from your 9 to be that guy pushing the tempo.
Anderson from the corner. And just a great stroke. And just a bit outside, but really striking the ball nicely today. You saw, Colin, during the game against BC in the first World Cup game here a month ago, that Anderson was a little bit off as far as the boot goes. I mean, is it just a rhythm thing? What is it about kickers and their heads and the way they're striking the ball?
Oh, the stands get real quiet, Brian. It's just you and the ball, and you know, you just gotta maintain that kind of technique that you've always had. And to be fair, last matchup against UBC was kind of bad weather. I think he was hitting the ball kind of fat. You know, his plant foot wasn't really there, but doing a better job today, barely missing that one, but getting a few tough ones from the corner. It's a hard thing to hit a penalty kick from that angle.
Well, Cal's rumbling once again, and a high up and under, and it goes Cal's way. Utah can't regather. Numbers on the outside there. A nice catch there by Adolphus, and he avoids a pretty big collision that was about to come his way.
Balls out.
Ball's out there, Scott Strong.
Something here.
Numbers, Danny Christensen doesn't see him though. He had his supporters on the left-hand side. Looked like Battaglia would have faced a 3-on-1, but instead Christensen goes to the inside. Strong to nobody. The wheels are falling off of the Utah wagon.
Just a little bit of inaccuracy there. The 10 got the ball and just hucked it. I don't think anybody was really running onto the ball. Kind of surprised to have something going on there, but somebody's got to nominate themselves. Somebody be like, I'm the strike runner, and get something going for this Utah team.
Danny Christensen puts a little grub through, and again, high risk, no reward, and Adolphus says, this is how you do it. It's a beautiful stroke by Harry Adolphus.
Harry Adolphus you beauty, you legend, well done. That's absolutely fantastic work from him. You see the two different kicks and how they worked out both ways.
You know, Scott Strong had the ball for Utah, and he tries to squirt it through, and just kind of desperation, it looked like, on the part of Utah to try to get something going. They've gone through the hands. It's been unsuccessful. And Adolphus, what a beautiful little touch grubber. It doesn't quite bounce up into the hand. He has to do some work at the back end of this. Keeps it alive with one more nudge and just great concentration on the way to the line. I tell you what, as far as individual efforts go, you won't see one better than that.
That is just great presence of mind from Guildford in the UK. Maybe bringing out a little of his footy skills from his early childhood, but you know, the two different kicks going straight through and then popping it up to himself at the end. I mean, that's skills to pay the bills, Brian.
Anderson gets to have another shot from the same spot, and that's just not his spot. Not today anyways, but Cal on the front foot, 44-5. And I wonder if this is a statement game for head coach Jack Clark. 38 points this Utah team put on UCLA, and you wonder if Coach Clark is trying to make a statement here that we're coming along, we're growing the way we want to, we're going to be around for the national championship again this spring.
The Cal performance plan is not to peak in the beginning of the season. It's to get better each time out with this team. Every year, you know, you're on an incline. You're not going to plateau. So from that standpoint, Cal is an absolute better team than they were last week and the week before. And I'm really, really enjoying what they're bringing to the table, the passion, the execution, and the skill that they're bringing to this rugby match.
And they look like they're having fun. And Anderson takes a behind his shoulder pass from Boyer, but makes something of it. Scott Walsh with a rumble. And now look at the forwards there. There's just nothing you can do to stop that ruck. And Russell Webb to Saliber, 6'5" from Dixon, California.
Boyer again. A little bit of an errant pass to the outside, but threatening the blind side.
Great job by Miles Honens on the left wing, keeping that ball in play. Boyer digs it out. Nick Boyer's dad is here today as well. He played for Coach Jack Clark in his first year as the head coach in '84.
We had a ruck formed, and there was side entry black.
And another penalty by Utah. It'd be interesting to see what the penalty count is right now. I think Utah's just getting pinged off the park.
Oh no, the original
that accuracy and execution.
Just come into the side.
And maybe a little bit of composure now, getting frustrated. You know, flying in from the side, trying to make something happen. They really wanted to come and make a statement for their program here today, and just not turning over the points I think they should have. A lot of missed opportunities. The ball should have gotten passed out to the wing. You know, they had numbers a bunch of times, choosing to elect to go into contact.
And it kind of proves that that game against UCLA may have been an anomaly for this Utah squad, and the combination certainly going right for them on that day, but not today for these Utes. And they've really run into a juggernaut.
Well, I just think a lot of the Cal players are starting to find their form for this season. You see a lot of different kind of pattern plays and guys taking different roles.
Anderson to add 3. Chip shot. And off. And, you know, it almost looked like the way he struck that ball, just trying to get a little too cute with it. Sometimes when you're from a short distance, you just don't put the same strike on the ball, and that's what it looked like.
Sometimes when you're behind there and you got, you know, you're trying to aim it instead of just rinse and repeat kick. I think he's really trying to aim this thing, and it's messing with his form. You know, probably wants to get back to the shop and get his leg kick right.
Well, speaking of a cute kick, that's what Utah tries to do on that 22-meter dropout. Instead, finds the hands of a Cal Bear. Hendrickson at the back looking for a rumble. Instead, goes out to Condrat. Numbers on either side. Yesterday, watching these guys warm up, it looked like that was one of the focuses for them, is to resource both sides of the ball, whether it's the weak side or the strong side, with both forwards and backs, and really mix this attack up.
just seems like Cal's really willing to attack from anywhere, both sides of the ball. Whatever Utah's giving them, they're taking advantage of, and that's really coming from Webb and Boyer, really keeping their eyes up and reading the game.
Anderson with a nice little touch pass there, but Utah with the numbers.
Oh, nice pin and pass from Boyer.
Nice Jesse Milne from the corner, just trying to get the ball out of his hands and can't do it.
22 goal lost forward.
You know, just in this last passing play, we've seen some pretty errant passes. A nice, you know, not so nice pass out of the tackle there. Cal looking to be a little more adventurous here, up 44-5, but you know, it's a test of a team when you get up and how accurate you're going to be, how long can you play for, and be this kind of dominant force.
Well, we've seen the scrum from Cal really putting the work against Utah today, and this is a juicy ball for this Cal Bear scrum. We'll see if Utah can get it out.
Oh, what a push from Cal.
They managed to get it out. Scott Strong has to take a run. He's got a man in his face, can't get a clearance kick out. Hold! Christensen trying to keep everybody on side. That's the lock, number 4, Alba.
Counterattack, open side, Jake Anderson.
Numbers on the corners.
Oh, no!
Russell Webb, he had Miles Honens and just puts the ball in front of him.
Knocked by gold, knocked by black.
You know, you're just licking your chops, and
Black scrum.
it's so rare that you get space on the corner when you're a wing, and all you got to do is get the ball to your hands, and doesn't work out in that case.
Let's go.
You give them that kind of counterattack, and almost 9 out of 10 times you find hands on that. Unlucky for Cal, but you know, Utah in trouble there, where they got their 10 in the tackle, and then they needed somebody to slide in the back. Kick doesn't find touch. Yeah, lucky there not to have some more points against them.
Bind. Set.
So now with the knock on, Danny Christensen with the feed for Utah, desperate to get out of their own half, let alone be able to play in the Cal half, and spins it wide. Scott Strong, and we saw this from the very first kickoff, trying to play from their own 5-meter line.
Release.
Well, Brian, they got to make something happen here now. If they're willing to play in the first half from their own end, they got to make something happen here. And a big hit coming in. Cal just not letting up an ounce. Utah in their red zone, needing to make something happen.
We saw the number 5 for Utah with a run there. Niles Lapuahu, it's his first year of his rugby career. You talk about a test.
But a good kick from the 9, Christensen, relieving some pressure. Now the kick chase is what's important here.
Anderson got a couple guys in his face. Honens out to Boyer.
Ooh.
The shoulder in. Pass out the back from Cal. They got stacked up on the right-hand side. Look how wide on the very bottom of the field here is Harry Adolphus. He's looking for that cherry picker. They're not going to be able to get it to him. Russell Webb. Boyer. Kondrak. The forwards get to play with it a little bit. Out to Sione Sina.
Numbers on the left side. Got a bunch of big bodies there with Anderson.
Anderson, he's got a couple on the corner, but the defense pushing him wide.
Ooh, sweet. Doing well to recover that ball. Gets him go forward. And Cal, good line set up to the right.
Oh, and a great run.
Trouble for Utah. Cal's got a back line set up to the right.
3 on the corner. Oh, an overlap, but Russell Webb, he darts for the line. Webb! It's Webb. And a misdirection. What a great step by the little number 10.
The Webb wiggle. He's just dancing on him in the middle of the field. You thought they were going to move it wide. Utah in panic mode, just scrambling. He saw all their shoulders turn out. A scramble moment, so just a little dart back inside. Let's take another look at it. Here's Webb. All the Utah players are flowing right. Nice little step inside, step back inside, and another step back inside, diving over for the try. You know, when your defensive system is just pushing out so hard, it's easy for players, and especially one with the feet like Webb, to kind of dance back inside, get those soft shoulders against the grain. But he's been awesome at doing this. I've seen him do it time and time again. He reads the defense well, and he takes advantage of those opportunities when it comes up.
And if you're a youngster watching this game at home and you notice that Webb with the ball in both hands, it's got to be a threat there. And that double-handed grab and the threat that he could throw it either direction makes that defense slide.
Yeah, it's the principles, the foundation.
So there's Rob Saliber, and part of that 1985 national championship team. And you know, you talk about rugby players giving back. Well, what he's given back is 2 more rugby players in the form of Nick Saliber and Anthony Saliber, who've had great games in front of their old man today. Tonata Lauti, one of the few bright spots for this Utah team, tries to defend his own kick. Just didn't hang it up high enough, and a player holding on in the tackle. So Utah gets a chance, and there's Lauti with the ball.
Full release
really
by
like
Black.
that from Utah, doing the up and under option. There was a great chase. Lauti chased his own kick. Tackle came in, and they got the turnover from the poach. That's that clinical execution bit, playing smart rugby and these things that you're going to pay dividends for later. It's better stuff from Utah. But whoa, what a hit. They say no, driven Utah back. And again, we see Utah electing to keep it tight on the inside, setting up to the right-hand side. 1-2 passes and taking it into contact. Struggling on the open side to get a platform going to move it wide. 1-2 pass again, happy to keep it tight. Utah needing to actually do something a little bit different here and threaten a little bit more on the outside.
So Scott Strong, he looks to pass and instead shielded by one of his own runners, so he can't get rid of the pass and instead gets a Cal Bear shoulder in his chest instead. Lauti looks like he was going to tee one up, instead goes to the wing, but he's isolated. A great tackle there on the corner by Russell Webb. Christensen trying to get something going for these Utah Utes.
This is pretty good phase rugby, but you know, you're playing within your own end, usually around 10, 11, 12 phases. You're threatening with getting disconnected and turning the ball over. They might want to look to put this on their foot if they can't get any purchase on anything.
A lot of quickness there on the corner, but Cal's got quickness as well and forces Utah into touch. Although, looks like the referee says it's off a gold, and so Utah will get the ball back, and they'll have to throw this ball in over that really outstretched pod of Cal, that front jumper they've been putting up, really making it a long day for Chad Goff throwing the ball in. As we take a look at Sione Sina, the converted Cal football player, now rugby player, comes off the field, and he'll be replaced by Tomas Zerbino. Great step by Adolphus. Oh, he just goes right through the tackle of Tonata Lauti. That's that deceptive strength we talked about from the slender Adolphus. He's going to get sick of me calling him slender, but Ari Adolphus is having a monster game today. And you see that deceptive stride. And just splits that gap, and he's got Milne on the corner, but doesn't need to use him.
You know, I think it's called wiry there, Brian. It's a term I've come to know, but look at Adolphus. Finding a half gap and getting a fend, it's just commitment to the tackle from Utah. He does a great job. Nice little step, finds the gap, uses his levers. You see the leverage he used for that fend just to get the space they need, the separation, to get that extra 10 meters to score the try. He's doing it all today. He's kicking, he's passing, you know, putting it on the foot, but he's one of the guys that is really starting to come through for this Cal team right now, and he can do it all. He's the Renaissance player here. Utility, the utility knife.
And there he goes, Anderson. This one struck really well. So Cal 58 to Utah's 5, and in the opening minutes of this game, when it was still 15-5, we thought that Utah might have a chance to stay with this Cal team, and they have just blown the doors off of this Ute squad.
Yeah, if you're Utah here, yeah, you're coming in a winter rugby field, you're going against a very well-coached, structured program with a bunch of great athletes. You want to finish games like this on your own terms. Yes, the game got away from you, but still look to have good moments. And here we go, here Adolphus again. What a nice little chip through. Oh,
a great tackle there. Looked like Honens comes in and puts a shoulder in.
you just feel the pressure that Cal's putting on the Utah players. Looking to go quick here. Conrad getting it out to Boyer. He's getting smacked by a couple of Utes.
That's the number 7. Check that. Chad Goff looks like the hooker came up and delivered that shot. And, you know, we talk a lot about the head coach Jack Clark, but he's got a pretty nice arsenal of assistants with him. Mike McDonald, the most capped player in U.S. Eagle history.
And Big Mac, he's the coach of the scrum area, and you can tell from this game, having his expertise in there has really paid dividends for this Cal team. It just looks like the Utah scrum's been on ice skates all day.
And Aya Akuzi comes on for Anthony Saliber. And then his old man's got to be clapping him off. What a great day as a Cal player, the legacy, to be able to not only play with your brother, but to carry on that Cal legacy and the rugby legacy. And for the same coach as well.
Mo! Enter!
Pretty special moment, I think, on homecoming here for the Cal Bears. Cal looking to keep it tight. Off the line out, driving forward. Utah
Off the legs, away,
still
17.
not giving up.
And Cal goes across again. And, you know, we talked about the influence of that coaching. And there's Hendrickson goes in once again. That's his second try on the day. But from a technical standpoint, Colin, you got your head coach, Jack Clark. You got Mike McDonald, who comes in to help with the forwards. And then Tom Billups. Let's not forget Tom Billups. He's also parading and patrolling this sideline. And I tell you what, you know, not only a great exponent of this game for the Eagles and a hooker and, you know, just a huge ticker on Tom Billups. Not always the biggest guy on the field, but probably the biggest heart, and he's really transferred some of that into these players. And one of the things that's really impressive about this program that comes from Tom Billups is the strength and conditioning. I got a chance to be in the basement of the strength and conditioning center at the bottom of the stadium here at California yesterday, and working with what they call plate force or force plate technology. And it's just being able to measure the drive, the explosion, the force that a player can generate, and targeting that as far as injury prevention.
There's a plan around every facet of the game in Cal Rugby, and a lot of that comes from Coach Clark and Coach Billups. Both of them national team coaches at once upon a time, bringing a lot of experience in.
So here's our State Farm Get to a Better State moment. And a try by Andrew Battaglia, 2 tries in the first half, and gave Cal a lead that they would never relinquish. Anthony Saliber does the yeoman's work here and finds a wide open Andrew Battaglia, who does the finishing. And that team concept, you know, somebody makes a break, but there's always somebody on your outside shoulder, and Cal's just really played kind of a different level today than Utah.
This is one of the better performances I've seen Cal put in this year, and a lot of it is coming from some great decision making from Harry Adolphus, Russell Webb, and I think the man that's made the biggest difference here today was Nick Boyer, pushing from the 9 position, adding that physicality and presence of mind to do those quick taps, his kicks, his chases. I think that is a big difference here today for this Cal team, and bringing the energy, bringing the heat. Everybody seems committed to that endeavor.
We've been calling the name Nick Boyer a lot. We're not going to call it anymore, though, because Paul Bosco has checked in for Nick Boyer. And Bosco, you know, you talk about going from strength to strength. Bosco, no slouch either as far as delivery goes, and had plenty of starts for this Cal team. Usually the go-to guy. They brought Boyer in just because he's such a bigger frame, but boy, did he have a great game today as we see Bosco going to work in the breakdown.
Yeah, I think you'll trade time between Boyer and Bosco, each one adding a different kind of aspect of their game to this game. I think they wanted a bigger, more solid frame in Boyer for this one to go against the other big bodies from Utah.
Release!
Well, Michael Bush just rips the ball away from that Utah ball carrier, and so the turnover once again, and Utah guilty of putting the ball on the floor way too much today. Jake Anderson's got Milne on the outside, and he'll have a go. looking around for help, and instead keeps it himself, tries to stay up on his feet.
Look at the support from Cal, getting there in numbers, making sure they secure possession. Great stuff, great work rate. And this is when the conditioning aspect of the game comes into play. 13 minutes left, and Cal's playing around conditioning. It's second to none.
Oh yeah, that's where Tom Billups goes into the engine room with these guys, and they're no stranger to the pain locker. One of the fittest teams in the country, and that is an example of some force being produced by Jake Anderson. Bosco wants to get in on the action.
They have a line set up to the left. Webb uses this ball and just chips it out. It's going to be a try in the corner.
Honens goes by himself, and he'll dot one down. Well, he had Harry Adolphus on the corner, but Harry's already had one today, and so Honen's able to just step his way to the inside of a ragged Utah defense, and they've just been really just stretched so thin today by this Cal Bear team.
Yeah, traveling out from Utah, they took a bus. Not the best kind of scenario that we want, but it's a fitness aspect, and you just see Utah, their fractured defense, being able to get back. And when the team goes quiet, you don't have players talking to each other, filling those holes in the defenses, and the commitment to the tackle. You just see things like this happen where the half gaps turn into tries.
Well, just to kind of paint the picture of the rugby landscape on the collegiate scene, today in Moraga, California, BYU faced off against perennial powerhouse St. Mary's, and it was a tight one, Colin. 18-10, St. Mary's led BYU at the half, and then it was all BYU. They were able to keep the ball and come back to win 32-28. And Cal has, as we see the kick go over from Jake Anderson, but Cal has faced off against BYU in the last two Varsity Cup National Championships. And here, BYU, you see they're at the #1 spot. St. Mary's is #4, and they'll be here on March 28th to face off against this Cal program. And when St. Mary's and BYU go neck to neck, head to head for 80 minutes, you know that this March 28th contest between St. Mary's and Cal is going to be a good one as well. And then if things go the way they have for the last couple years, we may see another Cal versus BYU. So the score today is a little bit lopsided, but there is some good rugby being played in the state of California and across the West. And there's some good matchups that we might see in the springtime, Colin.
Yeah, I just think that Cal-St. Mary's match, the Battle of the Bay, really is going to be something to watch. I think both teams are going to just come out, and that's going to be the bragging rights for the area. Who's the better team, and kind of, a tester for the real national championship.
What they refer to as a slobber knocker. We might see one of those here on March 28th. And Patrick Barrientos has come in for Jake Anderson, and then Harry Adolphus, we mentioned the Swiss Army knife of this back line, goes to the fullback spot, pushes Barrientos up to center, and now he'll patrol from the back. Adolphus will.
And now Utah, 10 minutes left of this match, they really want to work on playing 80 minutes. And, they're going to come against teams like Cal, and, unlucky for this game to get open on them, but they really need to find some resolve in this match just to grow as a unit.
The skills from 1 to 15 on this team, and you just saw Scott Walsh with a nice rumble down the sideline, and the pass out of hand just goes money to Connor Sweet, but holding on in the tackle. And so Utah still playing rugby, and look, not to take anything away from this Utah rugby team. They came here to play, and we've seen this before. You've been part of these games before, Colin Hawley, that sometimes even if you bring your best against Cal, it's not going to be good enough.
Just accuracy like that, not finding touch when you should, making good decisions from those decision-making opportunities. The 9-10, kind of combination there. But, yeah, just those little inaccurate moments that really, hurt you the entirety of the 80 minutes. I think that's the story for Utah. They played some great rugby, but just the inaccuracy, I think, is what they need to work on here.
And we saw Adolphus get a huge charge from Tu'uda Pelotu, wearing the number 13. kind of a bowling ball, 5'8", 198 pounds, and causes the turnover. But almost in the same breath, we see Utah with another knock on. Colin, you wore some blue shoes in your time, didn't you?
Some blue shoes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both teams coming up pretty hard right now. I think, trying to find moments where they're going to end this game on their terms. Some defensive efforts there from the 13, Tuota Pelotu. And I'm all right with that. They need some go for it here to end this match so they can go on to the season and be like, all right, this one got away from us, but we're still cooking as a team, and we're going to come back stronger after this.
Jesse Milne trying to do it on the corner by himself. Gets tackled.
Oh.
And the subs continue to pour in for this Cal team. Number 18, Kevin Sullivan, looking
Balls
for a
available,
rumble.
penalty advantage.
Sweet.
You talk about upside, the young prop there.
First offense, not rolling.
And a penalty coming back.
Cal has just added the pressure. They have not let up 1 ounce in this entire 80 minutes. And that's what really
Scrum
Coach
option.
Clark, when you're looking at video review on Sunday morning with Coach Clark, and you go through the entire 80 minutes. Doesn't matter what the scoreline is, you're evaluating every single passage of play on your performance.
And now Bosco with the feed. He has a little word with Jesse Milne on the right-hand side. Might that mean we'll see a blindside move here? Cal always keeping its options open. And you wonder if the ball comes to the back there and Connor Sweet has a look up and sees nobody on the blind side. Might they use Jesse Milne here?
Well, the Utah winger having to stay on the goal line, and Cal's been having that go for it from. It'd be a great platform just to pick up from the 9, get it out to the winger, and it would be a pretty good option here. And there we go.
They fool everybody, including us.
Oh,
Barrientos wants to get in on the action, and Akuzi trying to find the line. Well, that might be something, right, that Coach Clark might have issues with, is that everybody wants to have a little piece of the scoring bonanza. As we see Adolphus go in for another try. But Colin, do you notice that players are maybe keeping the ball when they should be passing it here, trying to get in on the action? Or, I mean, is that something that Coach Clark might have issue with?
In a game like this right now, you can get away with not taking advantage of opportunities. I think that was the story for Utah, is that they kept the ball a bunch of times, so they should have passed it. But right here, you got a great hands, through the hands moment, and that's what you need to do. Play clinical rugby when you have the numbers of 4-on-3 and you pin and pass exactly like that. When the chips are down and you're down by a try and you need to execute, that is the type of execution in rugby that you need to have in your toolbox to win those close matches.
So with Anderson stepping away from the action, Adolphus will try his left foot from the corner. Struck pretty well, but just falls away from that near goal post, and so it'll remain 75-5. And in the final whistle, which is going to be mercifully blown for Utah in 5 minutes now, do you just scratch your head and think, what just happened to us?
Yeah, so there's a moment of, well, that just happened, and you got to take some of the lessons that are on offer, but you can't dwell on a game like this. It got away from you. You got to think about, all right, where were we as accurate as we needed to be? What a grab from Harry Adolphus, 2 hands over the top. I love that. That's amazing, and that is just a really showcase of skill from that man today.
Well, that's how I saw Colin Hawley paying the bills for a while on the U.S. National Sevens team, going up for high balls like that. Great skills, and here we'll have another look at Adolphus in the air.
That's wonderful stuff. Look at that, 2 hands outstretched. Look at the balance. Great stuff from Harry. I mean, catching kickoffs for the USA Sevens team, it was one of my bread and butter plays to kind of a basketball background, 2 hands over the top, grabbing the rebound. Direct transfer into rugby for this kind of kick, but you don't see that too often, but I am overjoyed to see that from Harry. He's just doing it all right now. He's got it.
Michael Bush checks
Knockout
out
advantage.
The senior hooker from Davis, California, and in his place, Wade Ogburn comes in. And Ogburn, the sophomore from Alamo, California, went to De La Salle High School, played a little football there as well, and not a bad school to play some gridiron.
Nice counter coming in from
Counter
Cal.
ruck is good.
Yes,
Ball is
Carl
out.
again, making a big mess of things. He still wants to play. 3 minutes left. He's been on the field the entire time and still coming with the heat.
Well, Utah, they've got some bruises they're going to nurse tonight, but this program, I think, is moving in the right direction. Had a few off-the-field incidences that they had to kind of work their way through, some coaching changes.
Here.
But the players have really stepped up for this program.
I mean, you see the structure of their team. They're playing good rugby. They've got some pretty able bodies out there playing,
ahead of
having
the kicker,
some great
Black,
individual
12,
moments. Now, I just think as a program, when you have people set up with their coaches, and you got some guys starting from freshman year all the way up to their 5th-year senior, you got guys with a clear head and rugby minds out there that can make those accurate calls and really hit the execution that you need to be able to do when you play teams like Cal, St. Mary's, BYU.
Well, and also, let's not forget that they've got a few more games ahead of them. This is only their 2nd game in pack play, so they'll go to 1-1, but they still have a chance to come away this season number 2 overall in the pack conference, and that is not a bad take at all for a program that's really rebuilding right now.
Cal again going to work. The forward pack has just been super dominant today, keeping it tight.
Go on the back foot.
Bosco to Webb. Finds Aya Akuzi. Akuzi tries to go alone. Ball squirts around. Knock on by Cal. And, you know, again,
22.
Akuzi, 3 guys on the corner. What do you like there? Especially if you're a wing, right, Colin Hawley?
He's a substitute coming in, trying to find his feet, you know, finding some contact early on. But again, it's those teams that can actually execute. What was on there, what was given by the defense was the outside play. He needs to be able to calm down a little bit, check that passion at the door, put a ball through his hands and find the winger. You want to be clinical all the way through the 80 minutes. I mean, you got 2 minutes left in this game. Now that could be the difference in the national championship.
Utah running out the back there. That's Danny Christensen. He'll have a rumble and then a kick into touch, and that's going to give Cal the ball in a pretty threatening place inside your own 22. Cal tries to go quickly. Referee puts the kibosh on that plan, and so they'll come to a line out.
Hold that. Black. Black. See your line here. Sorry, I saw that. It's okay. Set up. Go.
Cal electing to go with the less numbers in the line out. A lot of forward runners off of Webb.
Honens from the blindside wing. Finds a gap. Sets it up in a rumble. Looks like Hendrickson finds one at the back. Webb back inside to the big man, Sullivan.
He came in like a wrecking ball.
Kevin Sullivan, sophomore prop, 6'2", 278 pounds, going downhill. And for a man who doesn't see a whole lot of first side games, at least not from the starting 15 perspective, he comes in from the bench and he is making his minutes count. Colin, how do you stop 280?
You really don't.
You just got to go
that distance.
You go speed bump, right?
Really
you try to get on the ground and hope he trips over you. What do you do?
What I love about that is he was in the blocks early on. Webb was sitting there asking for the ball, and what he did to give himself success is he got in the blocks and he hit the ball at pace. You know, the pace of a big man, you know, rumbling forward, but, you know, with that inertia 2 meters to go, give it to him, he just rumbles over the line. And it points.
Great strike there by Adolphus. And that is going to do it here at Witter Rugby Field. 82-5, the final score on a massive day. A rugby clinic, really, from the Cal Bears. And hats off to the Utah Utes. They never stopped playing rugby. It's just that they couldn't put phases together. They couldn't keep the ball. Their bread and butter, Colin, was the short game off the fringes, but they got tested early by this very physical Cal pack today, and it seemed like everyone from 1 to 15 showed up today for this Cal team.
Coming into this match with Utah, you know, having a big victory over UCLA, and Cal winning by a narrow margin. I think this was kind of a hotly contested match. It's like, where are these teams? Where do they match up? This was a massive, massive statement for Cal right now, coming out 82-5 against a very, very good Utah team that beat UCLA. So I think it was a great step forward. I love what I saw from Cal. Utah needs to come away with this and just say, hey, this got away from us, but still come away with number 2 spot in the Pac Conference.
Now we are going to step away. We'd like to thank you for joining us here on the Pac-12 Networks, where the final score is California Golden Bears 82, the Utah Utes 5. We'll be seeing you down the road here. More rugby coming up in the springtime, March 28th. Don't forget to join us again. Cal takes on St. Mary's. Until then, for my partner Colin Hawley and all of us at Pac-12, thank you for joining us.